Have you ever felt like you are doing everything right, you're eating well, getting your daily steps in, doing your workouts, but you cannot lose weight? Or maybe you notice your body holding on to extra belly fat and no matter what you do, it just will not go away. Well, the answer may not lie in your diet or your workout routine, but in a little hormone called cortisol. Often referred to as the stress hormone, cortisol plays a huge role in how your body manages stress, mood, energy, and fat storage. Before we get into why and how cortisol may be the reason why you cannot lose weight, let's just rewind and talk about what cortisol is and how it is produced in the body. Cortisol is actually created by our adrenal glands, which sit at the top of our kidneys. It is designed to help your body respond to stress. Think of it almost as like a natural alarm system. It kicks in during fight or flight response, and it gives your body a little extra boost of energy that it needs to fight off whatever you are encountering. It raises your blood sugar, it increases your alertness, and it even regulates inflammation to help you recover in situations that you need it. Sounds helpful, right? And yes, in small amounts it is. The problem comes when stress becomes chronic and our cortisol stays elevated for long periods of time. That's when this helpful little hormone turns into a little bit of a roadblock, especially when it comes to losing weight. Stick around because I'm going to get into the nitty-gritty of why cortisol is not allowing you to lose weight and the things that we can do and practice in our everyday habits to help alleviate that and to get cortisol out of the way so that we can look and feel our very best. So I know you're probably thinking, what are the different signs that cortisol is showing up mentally, physically, and even behaviorally in the body? Here is what's happening behind the scenes when cortisol levels are staying elevated. First of all, it triggers high-calorie foods. Have you ever been in stressful situations where something happened throughout your day or there was an unfortunate event, maybe something with work, maybe something in your personal life, and you just want to go and eat a piece of pizza and a tub of ice cream? That is our body's response, unfortunately, to cortisol. We use food as comfort when we are in an elevated state. It is triggering those hunger cravings, and it's not usually for an apple or a cracker. It is for things that are going to satisfy those cravings, which tend to be, again, high caloric foods. When your body is stressed, it really does think you are in danger, like you are running from a predator. Cortisol signals your brain to seek out quick energy, and again, this often comes in form of sugary or high-carb foods. This is why we are craving cookies, ice cream, and french fries after a tough day. Our bodies are trying to refuel even if the threat is just a long day at work or the fact that we are trying to meet a deadline. The second way that cortisol shows up physiologically in the body is through fat storage within the abdominal area, and especially even more so for women. That is because fat cells in the belly have more cortisol receptors, which is so annoying, making the tummy a prime spot for fat accumulation, especially when we are in high stress. And unlike other areas in the body, belly fat is one of the most difficult places to actually lose the weight because it is tied directly to hormonal imbalances. The third way that cortisol really does impact our weight loss journeys is the fact that it breaks down muscle tissue. We do not want that. As we know from all of my other YouTube videos, muscle burns fat. The more muscle we have, the more proactive our bodies will be with breaking down and metabolizing fat. But when cortisol levels stay elevated, our bodies actually begin to break down muscle tissue to use as energy production for the body. This absolutely does slow down your metabolism, making it even more difficult, frustrating, and annoying to lose weight and stay on top of your progress. The fourth and final way that I'm going to share with you today that is super relatable in terms of how cortisol affects our weight is through the fact that sudden messes up our energy levels. Now, we know that we need energy to show up in our day-to-day lives. We are all so busy, we have so much going on, and when we wake up tired, when we wake up stressed and fatigued like we didn't have a good night's sleep, that can impact the rest of our days. We may not be motivated for a workout, we may not show up as the best version for the other people in our lives, and we may just not be on top of it cognitively at work. Not only that, but when we are tired, we make poorer food choices. Again, we tend to lean to higher carb, sugary snacks, meals, whatever it may be. Our blood sugar is most likely going to be elevated, so no matter what we eat, we're probably still going to be craving more. And overall, we're most likely not going to be making healthy food choices, which is a really big issue, especially when we are trying to lose weight and lose fat. Okay, now that I've been the bearer of bad news and have shared all the ways that cortisol shows up in our bodies and how it affects our weight loss journeys, I am now going to share with you how we can combat cortisol and begin to lower it naturally. The first thing that I want to say here is that we can get in this cycle of being stressed out about being stressed, and it makes this situation 10 times worse. If you are stressed out about the fact that you aren't able to lose that belly fat, it's not going to help you with losing the belly fat. You end up being in this perpetual cycle of self-sabotage, and instead we need to begin to focus on the ways that we can lower stress naturally in our day-to-day lives. This is nothing groundbreaking. These are all things that I have talked to you before about. So let's begin with prioritizing quality sleep. I've said this once and I'll say it again. Sleep is the number one thing that we have full control of in our lives that can improve our health immensely. If we are not sleeping, we are not going to be feeling good. And sleep happens to be one of the most effective ways to regulate cortisol. The second way that we can begin to work on lowering stress within the body is managing cortisol through mindfulness. Now, this really isn't something that I started practicing until after 2020. I never meditated. I didn't really think about mindfulness. It wasn't something that I was really focused on. I was just really focused on the eating and the movement aspect. But when I began to really understand the importance of meditation and the importance of calming the nervous system, that is really a pivotal point in my own fitness journey where I really began to see results. If we are holding on to stress within the body, like we talked about, it's going to show up in different areas. Our bodies are going to be inflamed. We're never going to truly be in a state of like full calmness and relaxation. And one of the best ways to begin that journey of getting to that point is through mindfulness. Whether it's breath work, EFT, meditation, there are so many different avenues. There's so many different platforms. On my app Shape, this is something, again, after 2020, I began to incorporate. I have experts come on my app. They share their expertise with all of us, and without that piece of the puzzle, I would not be where I'm at today. And I'm sure a lot of Shape members as well can attest to this, that the mindfulness piece really does make all of the difference. Maybe you gravitate more towards breath work, maybe it's meditation, maybe it's hypnosis, maybe it's at night, maybe it's in the morning. So begin to experiment and see what works for you. I actually also love walking meditations. I habit stack that with my 10K steps a day in the morning for my morning walk. So find what works for you and begin to see how that really does allow fat to melt off the body. Now let's talk about exercise. As we know, exercise is great for stress relief. We are literally relieving stress as we move our body and promoting endorphins and all of the good hormones within the body. We need to make sure that we are exercising smartly. So if we're doing a lot of high intensity movement workouts, running, Barry's Bootcamp, Orange Theory, and we're already in a really high state of stress, which to be honest, most people cortisol generally are, we are going to have the reverse effects. We want to think about incorporating more low impact movement, maybe Pilates, mat Pilates reformer, and even, again, like I talk about all the time, getting in your daily steps. Just switching from running to walking can make the biggest difference. And although you're not working as hard, that is okay. You are going to begin to burn your fat storage versus your glucose storage for energy when you make that switch to low impact exercise. So if you are someone who is really stressed and you are doing high intensity workouts, try making that switch to low intensity. Don't be scared, change the mindset. Nothing bad is going to happen. You're still moving your body, and begin to see how your body responds to that different type of movement. We need to get out of that mindset that more is more. Less is more, especially in this circumstance. And I promise when you make that change, you are going to be thanking me. The last way that we can combat cortisol naturally is through nourishing our bodies and supplementation. Our diets actually play a huge role in cortisol regulation. When we're focusing on whole foods, balanced meals, our hormones are going to be happy. We are going to begin to stabilize them. We're not going to get the spikes from the carbs and from the sugar in our blood sugar. We are going to feed and nourish our bodies appropriately. We are going to feed our bodies with the food that it loves. Again, focusing on nutrient-dense foods. We want to think about leafy greens, fatty fish, lots of fruits and vegetables, and of course, protein. When it comes to supplementation, you of course want to talk to your healthcare provider to make sure that these supplementation recommendations are good for you. But just a few for you to consider and to look into for yourself would be magnesium. I will put my favorite magnesium here. It has all the different strands and it has been very well researched. A lot of doctors on different podcasts that I have listened to have also recommended it, and I have been using it for years at night before I go to bed, and it just helps release cortisol and stress and regulate the body while we are sleeping. Another great one to look into would be adaptogens. Again, this helps calm the body. You can have it in pill form, liquid form, you can even have it in teas. There's so many different forms of adaptogens now and different strands, and they are so great for you. Lastly, look into L-theanine. I have this in my Rest and Digest supplement that I take, again, also every night before I go to bed, but you can also take it pure. And again, the purpose of this supplement is to truly calm the body. And that is it. I hope this video gave you a really clear understanding of how cortisol can affect your weight, stress, and overall health, but more importantly, how you can bring it all back into balance. You have the power. Every single choice that we make affects our well-being. So starting now, starting today, you can begin to make proactive choices that work towards feeling better, lowering your stress levels, and really beginning to work towards being the healthiest and hottest and best version of you. And remember, managing cortisol isn't about perfection, it is about progress. Prioritize sleep, find ways to manage stress, nourish your body, move your body, and do all of the things that make you feel relaxed and at peace. Small, consistent changes can lead to big results over time. We just need to stay consistent. Thank you so much for watching. Make sure to check out my latest YouTube video here.